So first off, welcome everybody to another AOP Tech Talk where we talk about tech. Today is going to be a little bit different. We've been tasked with a used case scenario, a use case of an office manager at a law firm in Louisiana has been told that there will be an office remodel and that the managing partners of the firm are wanting to upgrade their technology. Consistently frustrated with the limitations of their dated equipment, the office manager is beginning the process of researching what the execution would look like and what kind of improvements others have experienced through this process. Mm-hmm. So that sets the stage, and this is going to be, I guess, IT's opinion on what could help.
And what we've experienced doing other upgrades for like law offices and things like that.
Yep. We've definitely done many of those.
Yeah.
So question number one, what are some of the most common obstacles law firms have in regard to technology? And what are some of the symptoms of these obstacles?
I think a lot of law offices, and not just law office, I think a lot of other places too, are just running on older technology. You notice it, like the applications they have run a little slower. Their print servers aren't really as good as they should be, or maybe not everyone's mapped, not everyone has the right drivers, things like that. It's disorganized. Yep. And I don't know what they've had for IT in the past, but you can tell when you go in that things aren't running as they should be. Or they're like, the server used to run fast, and they're like, click in, and I'm like, stop clicking, you're just making it spin at this point, it's not responding. Yep. But one of the things that we can go in and do is kind of take an assessment, see what's there and what we can improve. A lot of people are just used to working with the same equipment they've always had. You get stuck in your ways. You're like, well, my program's always run this way, and I come in, I do my job this way every day. And when we come in, it makes people a little nervous. They're uncertain, but we can go in, assess, see their old servers, see what we can upgrade, maybe possibly get them new equipment, things like that. It's a scary process, and it takes time, but we do eventually, everything gets ironed out.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like networks are built with no direction except just to run what they have currently,
right,
and just leave it.
No one has a vision there,
right?
It's just, okay, we got it up and running, and this is the way it's going to be forever.
Yep,
it's rock solid. Our business is never going to change.
And then they end up in this. They want to remodel or redo the whole thing, which is good.
It is good, and it's just a little bit scary. And I understand it because, like, our system's always been this way. And I'm like, I know, but it's time for a change sometimes.
Yep. We were just talking about that. I think one thing is to set proper expectations of making that leap or jump to new technology. It's not a silk road. It's a gravel road with a pothole or two.
Yeah.
But as long as you stay on course, you'll get to where you're going.
Yeah, there's always going to be a few hiccups. Like, even the most seamless transition always has, like one or two. Like, you always cross your fingers and hope for the best, but there's always going to be like a little hiccup or something like that.
Yep. Because two things don't like talking to each other perfectly or something.
And that can be enough to make some people are like, we're losing money or something like that. And it's like, let's roll back and just go, no, we have to keep moving toward the future.
Yep.
And once we get it ironed out, you can be good for like the next 10 years, Mm-hmm.
I do think upgrades that are happening now will last longer.
Oh, I do too.
For sure.
Especially if you haven't upgraded since like the early 2000s, which I've run into servers like that. It's like, why are you running server 2003?
Yeah.
Like, it's time to move away. You're not even getting patches anymore. Do you know how vulnerable your system is?
And just the flexibility of cloud infrastructure and virtual machines.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's something I hadn't taken into account until I started working here is like the world is really moving to virtualization. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember when I first started in IT, everything hardware. And I was kind of scared of like, who's going to go to virtualization, right? It's not even real. It's not physical. You can't touch it. But the more I work with it, the more I understand it is a real technology, you know? It's a real server. It works in the exact same way. It's even faster than a physical server. You can change the specs on it on the fly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You can add more hard drive space whenever you need it. You don't need to pop in some hard drives, you know?
Yep. They're extremely nimble.
Yes. It really is an amazing technology.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. All right, question number 2. What are some reasons law firms postpone upgrading, and how can a good MSP ease some of those concerns? So I would say definitely with current events, most project postponements happen they don't have a 100% clear picture of the end result.
Right.
They just know what they have now it should be running faster, smoother, more efficient. So they're just going to upgrade.
Yeah, they said this doesn't work anymore. I mean, it does work, but it's slow.
Yep.
You know, we're not getting all the money that we should be getting.
Right. And I think setting a clear, an expectation, and 2, what's your end goal? I need it to do this, 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 and this. It needs to hit these check boxes. Because people will get 20, 30% in a project and like not know which way to turn. And it's like, okay, hold on, pause.
I've seen a lot of projects that are like halfway done like that too.
Yeah.
And you come into a new place and you're like, well, this isn't really working like it should be. You know, we can clean this up.
2, definitely with current world events. I was reading some things on some law firms. Everybody's preserving operational cash.
Mm-hmm.
So either that's financial pay cuts or layoffs, or they're pulling money out of project budgets to preserve things. I think that's going to definitely postpone one.
A lot of IT budgets have been cut this year. Due to the coronavirus.
And then on the inverse of that, security risks have gone up.
Right.
It's just like, okay, that's a direct correlation. Second part of this one, how can a good MSP ease some of those concerns? Going off of what you were talking about earlier, that firm may be on their second project where we are on our 200th of the year. So we have the benefit of seeing. We've been down every road and knowing the potholes, so we can kind of see what to expect in the next week or 2 in the project.
Right. At a certain point, you just know how projects are going to go.
Yeah.
Like everything, it's an application, it's installed, you work with the vendor, you work it out. For us, projects really aren't that bad anymore.
Right.
It's easy.
We can almost predict where the gotchas are going to come up.
Yeah, and you make a roadmap of it every time you do a project, and you're like, okay, well, here are our gotchas for this project. There's not a project that I don't do, and it goes like super well, and it's like, well, there's a gotcha somewhere.
Yep.
There's something that's going to come along the line, and I'm going to write it down, and that will never happen again.
So definitely the experience of an MSP will help smooth that out. And then it's because we get to repeat the process and we're given insight. And I think another benefit of an MSP, or a criteria of a good MSP, is to be creative, not take product A and place it here.
Yeah.
It's, let's shape and mold this. Like going back to virtualization, and you said you can resize resources on the fly. That flexibility and creativeness will help smooth things out.
Rather when you have a rigid mentality and you're like, things need to be this way because they've always been this way.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. That's not the world we have anymore. You need flexibility. Like maybe you want to expand your firm, but you have all this old hardware that you just wasted a whole bunch of money on. With virtualization, we can scale that. It's super scalable.
Yep.
You need more memory. Guess what? You got more memory, more CPU. We can just throw anything we need to at it.
Yep. Yeah, so I think, creative and flexibility is for sure. Let's see. Maybe can be, help achieve. Yeah. So question number 3. What goes into an upgrade at this scale? We're going to use a firm with about 50 people, for example. How is the business affected during this process? So what goes into a project that scale?
At 50 people, that it's really not that bad. It depends on the application, really. Like if it's are we talking like 50 users with 50 computers?
Yep. So I guess we should, if we rewind and take, because upgrading their technology. So if we upgrade, let's start with, say, the infrastructure side of it. So the servers, network switches, and maybe they want to go to a new software that has remote capabilities.
Yeah.
We'll use that as our baseline.
For us, that project doesn't take that long to get their network changed over and upgraded. I mean, we can do that in an evening. But when it comes to upgrading applications and things like that, it can take a little bit longer. And I know that worries some people, you know, because they see you in the office and they don't really know what you're doing. And but application-wise, like we work with a vendor, we keep their old application in place, so we have a set cutoff date, you know, and then we cut them over, and hopefully, fingers crossed, easy transition, right?
Right.
It's not bad. Even if we have to assist every user with getting the new application installed, it's not bad. It's not as scary as people make it out to be.
Definitely, yeah. I definitely agree with that. So that brings up a good point of the importance of testing.
Yes.
So you have that cutover date. We're just going to use day one.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe a week before that, we did all of the application transition, and then we have a week until our go live date to start testing things and clicking all the buttons and seeing what we can break.
Yeah.
That way when day
see
one
what
comes,
throws up an error message.
Yeah. That way when the go live date goes, we've already tested, worked out 95% of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's, you know, here's the date, let's go.
Yeah. And with a lot of the vendors we work with, they're experienced in this, and they know what's going to happen pretty much and what's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we take solid backups just to, you know, knock on wood, nothing happens.
Yep.
You know, and if we ever do have to roll back, that's a possibility, but we prefer to, you know, just keep going forward.
Yep. I think it may seem like more of a challenge, but pushing through progress is always more beneficial than just reverting back to the
right. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I think there's a point where people get nervous and they're like, look, can we just go back?
Right.
And I think that's why I prefer to do transitions like this, like after hours, you know, like during a weekend or something like that, to where you don't have a user there and they're panicking because what if we come in on Monday and it's gonna work? Don't worry, we got you.
Yep. Yeah, that brings up another one. Having an available MSP or IT partner. And then that would be another thing is to talk with the vendors. So it is a new software that we want to jump to.
Yeah.
Asking that vendor if they've ever done transitions from this product to that product.
Yeah. It is about talking to your vendor, really.
Yeah.
Because they'll tell you about the gotchas, you know, the things like that, the things that you're going to get hung up on.
Mm-hmm. So they would be our equivalent of the software side. Mm-hmm. We've done the hardware and server transitions and the infrastructure transitions, but at the same time, we're going to use their knowledge on doing the software side of it.
Right, because I've transitioned software that I don't even particularly know what it does.
Uh-huh.
Right? I know how the server works. I know how it's built out. I know everything's good. I know my SQL's in place and it's running.
Yep.
But I can't tell you exactly what that software does, but I know that it works.
Yep. We can run it.
We can run it. It's beautiful. And the people who have training on it can use it. That's
it. And you mentioned another good thing, backups.
Yes.
I think during a transition or migration period, to increase the frequency of backups.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Because as you get closer to that cutoff date, you do want good backups. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have to be like, well, what do we do now? You know?
Yeah.
You don't want to get caught like that.
How is business affected during the process? I would, you touched on this one lightly. I think during your transition week, like your go live week, people are still getting used to where the new buttons are to go click and the steps and processes.
Yeah, especially if you've put group policy in place to change things, that they get a little thrown off. They're like, well, it always worked this way for the past 5 years I've been here. And I'm like, well, you know, security reasons, right?
Yeah.
This is keeping you safer.
So it's almost like buying a new car. You got to figure out where the AC buttons are.
Yeah, exactly.
Question number 4. What kind of operational improvements can a law firm expect after an upgrade? Fiscal improvements, quality of life improvements, etc.
There's a ton of quality of life improvements I can say for a fact. Like when you upgrade your server, you notice that things save quicker. You can pull data from it quicker. It just all around, like your change and work quality is just Oh man.
And it's almost a sad thing to see an upgrade be that drastic.
Yeah, that you've waited so long, and now it's just like, okay, well, you're in the 21st century now, you know. Welcome to 2020.
The land of crazy right now.
Yeah, you can straight up just save things to your server instantly. And like even pulling large amounts of data, you know, like when you have a newer server, you can pull that 3 gig file with no issue.
Yep.
You aren't there for the last half of your day waiting on it.
And that's another thing to plan on, is take a look at how much storage you're currently using. And then throughout the upgrade process, see how much data you're adding.
Yeah.
And plan for that growth. You know, it's maybe you're not going to go virtual, but you have to spec out the hardware to host those machines or something, but having enough storage is definitely important.
And you know, something that you pointed out to me recently that I hadn't even taken into consideration is reevaluate your network speed, like what you're paying for through your ISP, you know? Like, because sometimes that can be a big hang up too.
Yeah. Either you pay for way too much or way too little.
Or you're getting way too little, and you're being charged way too much for your way too little.
Yeah.
So when you take on an MSP, you know, that's something we can evaluate for you as well.
And in most cases, it's a cost savings you get to capture.
Oh, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, the main purposes of upgrading technology is to improve something, that being speed, cost, and reliability. I think we just touched on those. Operational improvements can include operational management. This is definitely one. When you partner up with a good MSP, you kind of get to delegate that operation and maintaining of software.
Yeah.
You know, they're not, oh, there's something wrong with this one, or oh, we need to get this done. Call AOP. We'll
get it done.
Yeah, your IT or whoever that may be. I think that's definitely operational. It lightens the load on firm managers for sure.
It gets your employees back up and running, you know?
Yeah.
When you can just call and not have to worry about it yourself. You can just think about other things, and knowing that your MSP will take care of it.
Yep.
Rather than you having to like focus on this one employee who just can't work, you know?
A two-sided improvement on the fiscal side can include a cost reduction or a revenue increase. That's very true for a few of the products we've put in place.
Because you've increased productivity when employees can work quicker, you know? When you're replacing those old outdated computers with like more modern computers, and then even if it's like a VDI that you're replacing it with, it's like, wow, this moves so much quicker, and they're able to get more done in a day.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, I remember one attorney was walking us through this one. Helping people in the firms, they bill on quarter-hour increments, and we were making the network more efficient to where they can bill multiple quarter hours in an hour. So instead of 4 quarters an hour, they were able to bill 6 in an hour or something.
Yeah. Was that a limitation of their software?
It was going back toward like the network and application speed. It just took them longer to do things.
So they were able to bill more hours because you improved the network speed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's one, we cut the cost of the network operations and then gave them the ability to increase revenue. So that was a win-win. Automating the non-billables can be factored into that one as well. I'm a huge fan for automation and putting all the heavy lifting on a network.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah.
If you can automate processes like that, you save your time, you save man hours, you save money. You know, automation's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is the way of the future.
I even have one now to where it's a database, and I wanted to know some, bits of information out of it, and I gave that job to the servers. Like, hey, every day go find all this information and email it to me.
Yeah, just pull it for me.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
It saved me like 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
I'm done with.
That's the future. I mean, You save money. It's a great deal.
Yep. And speaking back to the flexibility of a virtual machine, that virtual machine has been exported and stored on an encrypted thumb drive that we,
So you always have it.
Carry a server around with me.
Isn't that insane that you can just store a server like that?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to carry around that big bulky thing that weighs 50 pounds with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just carry it on my thumb drive now.
Yep. I got a backup everywhere. Overall quality in your work life has an upside due to less management of products and services, increased trust in your MSP, delegating sections of those firms. You take care of the network and I'll manage the firm. I've been told that one. Yeah. And definitely bringing in trust and asking what's next going back to that planning, having 100% clear picture on why you're upgrading.
Yeah.
But then once you get there, what's next?
Where do you want to be in the future? You
Yeah.
know? We've taken this big leap forward, but where do you see yourself in like 10 years or 20 years? Like, how big do you want to grow your firm? I mean, we can scale that for you, you know?
Mm-hmm. And you can make decisions early on to help that decision in the future.
Yep. Future proofing.
That's it. Future proofing. Question number 5. What other advice would you give this person? Write down everything. I would document more than document.
But that is one complaint I have, working for an MSP, is when we take over, there's no documentation. Mm-hmm. And I would never do that to someone. I would never be like, well, here's the network. Good luck.
Yep.
Discover it for yourself.
Yep. I would document every procedure, like every software you use, every piece of hardware, assets, your end goal, why you're upgrading, like everything. I would have that documented.
That's a better than good idea. Like having any documentation, please.
Yeah.
When you went through this project, tell me what you did.
Yep. It would for sure help.
Don't make it a surprise.
Even requiring or in researching, I guess really depending on your firm, but HIPAA requirements, federal requirements, state requirements, how long you have to hold data.
Yeah.
Like researching all of the criteria and laws you have to abide by. That would be helpful information to pass along. And then going back to setting realistic expectations to get there. It's not going to be some smooth, Tesla self-driven process.
I wish it was self-driven. Are you kidding? I wish I could automate the upgrade process.
Yep. I mean, no matter how great anybody, something's going to sneak out of.
There's always a snag.
Yep.
There's always a gotcha. It's always waiting there for you. But you know what? The thing is just to learn how to roll with it. You're going to run into these things. You don't get anxious about it or anything like that because you're going to work through it. It's going to be okay.
Yep. You can rely on the experience of your MSP.
Right.
We've ran into the problem before.
Right. Because I trust me, I've gone through enough anxiety solving these problems to where it's like, okay, well, this is in my notes. I can solve this no problem now.
Yep. Okay, so last question. How can AOP help? One, and I think we've both touched on this one. One great benefit is people can call us for, a 1-hour consultation call, just out of like random. Hey, I know y'all have done a few hundred of these upgrades. I want to get to here. Ballpark, what does that look like?
Yeah.
We can help people set realistic expectations, walk them through things. We can share roadmaps on how we've helped others achieve things. Also getting the creative part. That's another. So we have people that'll call just to ask if we could do something.
Yeah. I've gotten calls like that before too. It's like, yeah, that's definitely within our realm. We can do that.
So helping people figure out the unknown and helping them create a roadmap for that upgrade process.
Yeah.
We could definitely help with, especially now with virtual desktops and remote work.
Yeah, which is what everyone wants to do now that the world has changed.
Yep.
Yeah, and I love virtual desktops. That's been my big project right now, and honestly, it's taken off. It's doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I can't wait.
Yeah.
We don't need computers anymore. We just need a server that can handle the computers, you know?
That's it.
Virtualization.
Or an ACS account.
Or an ACS account. Yeah, that's right. Hook up your VDI to your ACS account.
Yep.
I love my ACS account.
I pulled up my desktop off my phone now.
I know, it's amazing.
Yep.
Like, I pull mine up at home, and now that I can RDP into it, I just use that at home because the speed on it's quicker.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And you can, I guess that would be, this is like a side note, but having desktops in a virtual environment allows you to control remotely access people as well. Because you're no longer susceptible to the security of the physical laptop itself.
That's true. And honestly, it gives you a better handle on it. You can administer patches and things that way more uniformly. Yep. Which I loved. You know, it gives you more control of your environment.
Yeah. And no locally stored data.
Yeah, and I don't have to worry about finding that computer that's like hidden under someone's desk in like a far corner somewhere. You have everyone's desktop, you know, like available to you in Hyper-V or in ACS, you know.
Anything else to add?
No. Like, good talk.
Yeah, it definitely was. Thanks everybody for listening to another AOP Tech Talk. If you do have any questions about upgrading technology in your office or your law firm or any other company for that matter, since we've done so many, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help.
Yep.